A healed woman responds very differently to a man's bad behavior versus an unhealed woman. Let's explore the differences in the responses of these two women in this video. Hello and welcome. This is dating and relationship coach Sami Wunder, and for the last 10 years, I've been specializing in helping high-achieving, badass, smart, successful women find and keep incredible romantic relationships. So first, let's define what I mean when I talk about a healed woman and an unhealed woman. So an unhealed woman is very simply, in my world, a woman who hasn't done her inner work. What is your inner work? Inner work is the work of self-awareness, understanding what are my values, what are my triggers, what are the wounds I have been carrying as a child that have impacted me in the way I show up in my love life, in my dating dynamics with men, in my relationships with men. And a healed woman, on the other hand, is not a perfect woman, by the way. I never want you to think that healing is a destination where once you have healed, you are perfect and everything is sorted out. Healing is a journey. But what healing points towards is a woman who is self-aware. She understands herself. She understands that while she has emotions and feelings, not all her feelings are a reflection of the truth. Sometimes our feelings can be self-created. Sometimes our feelings can be triggers. She has the capacity to question herself in a self-inquiry way, in a curious way, without judging herself. And she also understands that, the bottom line of all healing is self-love and self-compassion. So while she continues to be more self-aware, she is still loving and kind to herself. So in terms of how an unhealed woman, an unawakened woman, a woman who thinks buying Chanel bags is what makes her a high-value woman, but resists investing in herself and says, oh, this love coaching is too expensive and, it's intangible, so I'm going to buy myself a handbag instead. This woman, and sometimes these are very smart and brilliant women too, and by the way, I have nothing against Chanel bags. I love them. But it's about understanding that there is nothing more powerful than doing the work that helps you become aware of who you are, what you stand for, what your triggers are, because that is the formula to attracting and keeping a romantic relationship that is better than your dreams. So an unhealed woman will often over-express her feelings in the name of this is honesty, this is transparency, this is what an empowered woman looks like. So when a guy disappoints her or treats her poorly or, flirts with another woman in front of her or, ignores her message for 48 hours, she's just going to go in and call him out. She's going to say, hey, you haven't texted me for the last 48 hours and this is not cool. When you don't text me, I don't know where you are and it leaves me feeling anxious and I don't want to feel anxious. And by the way, I'm not angry with you. I just want to make sure you know so that, you can do better next time. Woo, okay? So what we're looking at is a paragraph of her deepest feelings, and men just go like, whoa, 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 slow down, right? And by the way, if you identify yourself in this, be kind to yourself. Remember, all healing comes from offering grace to ourselves, offering compassion to ourselves. But the point here is this is also not your fault. If you're behaving this way, it's most likely because you have bought into the belief that is spread by so many love coaching coaches out there that it is strong to share your truth. You must always speak up. Let me show some more muscles. You must always speak up. And the truth is, when you have emotional intelligence and relational intelligence, you understand that you must not always speak up. You must have the intelligence to choose your battles, and you must understand where in the dating process are you with this person. Are they going to receive your text and your boundary as something they want to entertain, or are they just going to think that you're desperate and you're too attached, that you're writing them paragraphs while they've barely written you a sentence? So this is the challenge in today's love coaching industry, because there are so many generic messages being floated without really looking at the context of, what is the nuance or the context of that individual relationship. So for example, if you are very early on in the dating process, dates 1 to 6, and a guy hasn't texted you for 48 hours, a healed woman would say nothing about it. She knows that, if she has felt some insecurity or she has felt some anxiety, it is for her to emotionally self-regulate herself, not to project it on the guy. He doesn't owe her consistency right now in communication, in texting. And her job is to lean back and really see if this man can step up and be the man that she wants him to be. And early dating is just far too early in the process to be telling a guy, why haven't you texted me? When you don't text me, I get anxious. That is not the way a high value healed woman shows up. A high value healed woman understands that in early dating, he doesn't owe you much except consistency in seeing you every week. And if he doesn't do that, your job is not to show up and write him paragraphs and scold him. Your job is to shift your focus to the guy who is behaving in the way that you want him to behave. So I think it is not women's fault that we are over-speaking, oversharing. We are mistakenly thinking that all this oversharing of feelings is empowerment. It's actually not empowerment. And so many times it goes against you. It works against you in the dating process because it shows your level of attachment to the man. It shows and reveals that he impacts you deeply and emotionally. And while that could be something that one can bring up inside a relationship container, relationships are very different than dating. Relationships are where the container of the commitment is already established. So there you have far more flexibility and far more appropriateness in sharing your feelings. So healed women should and must absolutely share their feelings with their partners. But even there, it's not about writing paragraphs. If you are finding yourself in that space where you have to write paragraphs to a man, stop yourself dead in the tracks. Inside Elevate, we tell our clients paragraphs are red alert. And usually when we work with our clients, we'll reduce the paragraphs into 2 crisp sentences that really make the point and get to the point and communicate what the woman wants to communicate in a high value way. But again, the whole idea here is that when we are unhealed, when we are unawakened, we will take every emotion and we will project it back on the man, and we will make the man wrong, and we will think that emotional transparency will help him do better. But your emotional transparency as a woman doesn't help a man do better. It actually often makes him very lazy. There are so many other smarter ways to make a man wake up, like creating more tension, creating more gaps so that he steps in his masculine and rises up for you with action. There is a way to healthily withdraw your energy so that he chases you for validation and attention again. And it is so tricky and nuanced to give all these tools in a 10-minute video to you because it really depends on every individual situation. So sometimes more silence is needed in order to wake up a man and get him to treat you better. Sometimes a loving boundary is needed, but a loving boundary doesn't always have to mean revelation of your feelings. A loving boundary can just mean, I really appreciate it when people show up on time. It doesn't have to mean we say, when you don't show up on time, I feel neglected, I feel ignored, I feel devalued, I don't feel special, and you really have to make sure you show up on time. So the point here is there are so many nuanced ways of getting treated better by men, and the answer to that is not always full revelation, not always sharing your feelings. It really depends on where in the dating process you are, where in the commitment process you are. Are you with your husband, with your boyfriend? Even there, in the safety of that commitment, there are phrases and words and energy men respond to. There are phrases and words and energy men don't respond well to. And so the best thing you can do is to invest in your inner work. The best thing you can do is to stop treating relationships as something that you'll just figure out on the way. It is way too costly. It is way too emotionally expensive. And one of the smartest things I did for myself was at a very young age, when I was just 25 or 26 years old, I decided I'm not going to leave my love life, my relational skills with men to chance. I'm going to learn this stuff, and learn it I did. Attracted an incredible husband, adores me 12 years down our marriage after having two beautiful kids, and helped 1159 plus women do the same. So my invitation to you today is to stop winging it. Start becoming the healed woman. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to be willing to start to spend your time, energy, money in this direction. It's almost like a university degree, and it's going to give you returns for the rest of your life when you understand how to show up, when you become more aware of your own emotional triggers, when you become aware of, what are your weaknesses and areas of growth in the way you relate and show up, whether it be your self-confidence, your boundaries, healing your intimacy fears, healing your triggers, because if you don't, then the patterns will just continue to repeat themselves. So if you're ready to be that healed, awakened woman, it's not about perfection, it's about taking the first step. Download my Love Success Framework guide. Inside it, I give you the 6 needle moving pillars I teach inside my Elevate program, and that has led to hundreds and hundreds of success stories. Women have attracted healthy, loving, masculine men by focusing on just these 6 pillars that I reveal inside the guide. I know that the world of dating and relationships can be overwhelming, and so in my work, what I do is try to simplify the messages for you and tell you that if you focus on these 6 core areas, you don't have to struggle for years and years and do years and years of endless inner work. My clients actually ideal clients attract their dream partners within a year of working with us inside Elevate, and heal their marriages and relationships within 2 rounds of the program. And we're talking healed marriages, relationships coming back from the brink of divorce. So this is really deep, sacred, and valuable work. Click on the link below in the description. You'll find my guide, or just comment guide below and my team will give you the link. I love you all so much. Here's to being on the journey of being that healed and awakened woman who loves herself, who understands herself, who knows how to talk to men, and who has the emotional maturity to deal with her triggers so that she can still show up and communicate in a way that men actually listen to her and respond to her and feel the calling to treat her like a queen.